In an op-ed piece for the New York Times that historians will be reading 100 years ago when they study this era, our next guest, Pulitzer Prize-winning historian David Blight, writes this about Donald Trump's attacks on the Smithsonian Institution. Quote, "The current attack on the Smithsonian is nothing less than a hyper-ideological group attacking a non-ideological institution for not being ideological enough by its definition. When lies by smiling propagandists become official truths advanced by those who control government budgets, democratic culture dies. It is time, before it is too late, for Congress and the people to stand up to this attack on how we are to know and interpret our history. Defend the Smithsonian or lose it. If we do not hold the line, our young may be among the tourists walking through the ruins someday of those great edifices that once housed and exhibited both our treasures and our hopes." Last month, Professor Blight testified about this attack on the Smithsonian in a hearing in the House of Representatives.
President Trump has declared war on free minds and free education. Historians are not voices of the state. We are keepers of memory. And at our best, we're storytellers with trained imaginations. And yet, they declare with such certainty what forms of, and these are the words of the report, heritage, destiny, settled truths, and indeed stories that the Smithsonian should instill, one of the report's favorite verbs, in the minds of the public. We do not write woke history, whatever that is, but we do try to awaken citizens.
Joining us now is David Blight, Yale University's professor of history and Black studies. He's the author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Frederick Douglass, Prophet of Freedom. Professor Blight, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I want to get to some of these words, the specific words. Let's begin with that verb that seems to bother you so much, instill. Tell us about the context in which the Trump people are using it and what it means to you.
Well, thank you, Lawrence. They used it in this report put out by the Domestic Policy Council of the White House. They accused the leadership of the American History Museum of trying to instill ideology in visitors and so forth and so on. But then they advocated instilling a certain triumphal version of American history in the American public. Essentially, what the White House is doing is accusing the great Smithsonian Institution of doing exactly what the White House is doing, which is trying to take over some kind of control of the narrative of American history, how American history is represented, how it is presented in our great museums. That jumped out at me because it's not what historians wish to do. It's not what we do by our own ethics. We don't instill something into the minds of our public or our students. We suggest, we show evidence, we tell a great narrative whenever we can, and we hope, to convince with a version of history, but it's not an installation inside of somebody's mind. But that's what this administration is trying to. They've truly decided, against all odds, because I don't think they can win this one, that they want to control how Americans come to know and understand their past. Good luck to them. They're doing a lot of damage, but I do not think they can win this one. You've entered the historical record of this era with this work and with this testimony and with others. As you sit there and testify, when you write something like this for the New York Times, that you know is the kind of source that 100 years from now historians would be looking for to try to find out the details of this part of this era. Do you feel that burden? Do you feel yourself trying in any way to communicate with the future Yale professor 100 years from now in the history department who's trying to study this era? Well, let's hope we're all around in 100 years still practicing this craft. I don't know that I felt that kind of burden. I mean, I really was, once this report hit, I just knew I had to try to write something. I will say this, that in the past year, year and a half, at least since last spring when Trump announced his executive order returning saving American history from the insanity, as he put it, of historians. And I was at that time president of the Organization of American Historians, and that association has been doing everything it can to fight back against this. So I do get up every day. I mean, I do my other work, my writing, my teaching, and what I should, and my lecturing out in the public. But I do get up every day trying to think about, well, so what can I do? What can we do? What can historians actually do to have a voice to fight back against this? And it's a small voice. We don't have a lot of power. But when I was asked to testify by two House committees, by the ranking members and the minority staff, I thought, well, why not? I was well warned by the staff of what Republicans would try to do to both me and particularly to Anthea Hartig, the director of the American History Museum. And they saved most of their fire for her, leaving the Democrats an opening to ask me about history. And we actually had some very good exchanges about the nature of history and what makes a good narrative of history. But there are a lot of us now, hundreds of us, trying to get up in the morning to try to fight back against this, because this truly it is a declaration of war on the free pursuit of understanding the American past, presenting it, exhibiting it. And there's no better place to see this than in the 21 museums of the Smithsonian. It isn't just American history at stake here. It's those great art museums, the science museums, the air and space, for God's sake. And Americans, in fact, the whole world loves the Smithsonian. It's the largest, it's the most extraordinary complex of museums in the world. And they are treasures that Americans love. But this effort by the White House, we now know, because of the various stages of escalation, is not going to stop. They have made a decision that they think they can somehow begin to pull back control, whether it's the Kennedy Center or the Smithsonian or the National Park Service or the National Archives, where he fired the archivist, or the Library of Congress, where he fired the head of the Library of Congress. If they do succeed, let's use that verb again, in instilling a leadership in these institutions that somehow dictates from the White House, from the executive branch of government, then our culture is truly in trouble, and our basic freedoms are in trouble. It's free thought, really, that's at stake here.
Yale Professor David Blight, thank you very much for joining this fight. For the Smithsonian, thank you for joining us tonight.